I'm very pleased to join my colleague from North Dakota, Senator Heitkamp, and appreciate all of the efforts that she is making to try and address the challenges we're facing in the healthcare market across this country. And like her, I have come to the floor this afternoon, and like so many of my colleagues who are going to be here, because we want to take urgent steps, and we can take steps today to address the uncertainty in our health insurance markets. We can take steps today that can hold down premiums. Now, I know that I've heard senators on both sides of the aisle who have expressed concern about looming premium increases in the Affordable Care Act marketplaces. And we all need to understand, as Senator Heitkamp was pointing out, what some of the causes of these premium increases are. Insurers regularly cite the Trump administration's refusal to commit to making cost-sharing reduction payments, also known as CSRs. Now, these CSR payments were included in the Affordable Care Act in order to help Americans afford insurance once they had it. The ACA requires insurers to reduce deductibles and co-payments for working families buying insurance in the marketplace. And because of the cost-sharing reduction payments, these CSRs, patients pay less for their care, and the government reimburses the insurers. Now, these reductions and payments are built into the rates that insurers are charging for 2017. And yet, the Trump administration has refused to commit to paying these reimbursements because of a partisan lawsuit that's been brought by House Republican leaders. Because of the radically uncertain landscape insurers are facing right now, many of them are doing one of two things. Some are pulling out of the ACA marketplaces altogether, and others are dramatically increasing premiums. The end result is fewer choices and higher costs for American families. Now, last year in my state of New Hampshire, and Senator Hassan is here, we represent New Hampshire, and we've been very concerned about what's happening right now because last year the insurance markets were stable. Health insurance premiums increased an average of just 2%, the lowest annual increase in history. Today, it's a radically different story, in large part because of the uncertainty this administration is causing by refusing to guarantee insurers cost-sharing reduction payments. So what we're seeing is those insurance companies are protecting themselves by raising premiums on patients. The same thing is happening in other states. In some cases, insurers are filing two different sets of rates, a set that's premised on the administration continuing to make cost-sharing reduction payments, and an alternative set with higher premiums to account for continuing uncertainty and the possibility that this administration will stop making those payments. Now, unfortunately, the Trump administration continues to send mixed signals to insurers, and of course, it has threatened to stop paying cost-sharing reduction payments altogether. And if this were to happen, insurers could immediately exit the markets for breach of contract. So we're kind of in this perverse limbo situation. The administration creates uncertainty by refusing to commit to continuing the CSR payments, and the insurers protect themselves by exiting the markets or raising rates. And it's the premium holders, the families out there, who are hurt by this political football that the administration seems to be intent on continuing. That's why I've introduced the Marketplace Certainty Act, which is a bill to appropriate funding for the cost-sharing reduction payments to make good on our commitment to help working families with their deductibles and cost-sharing. I believe the House Republican leader's lawsuit has no merit, but the chaos that it's caused by allowing the Trump administration to waver on these promised payments requires that we act now. I'm pleased to be joined in this legislation by Senators Baldwin, Blumenthal, Cardin, Carper, Coons, Kane, Hassan, Heitkamp, Cortez Masto, King, Leahy, Markey, Wyden, Stabenow, and I'm sure we will have, by tomorrow, even more senators on this bill. And we could pass it right now. We could end right now this manufactured crisis. We could immediately restore certainty and stability to the health insurance markets for all of our constituents. That would be good for the Republicans, and it would be good for the Democrats. And mostly, it would be good for the families out there who are experiencing this uncertainty. We could do this. It would give us breathing space that we need to come together on a bipartisan basis to improve the law, to strengthen what's working, and to fix what isn't. In poll after poll, this is what the American people want us to do. They want us to stop the partisan bickering. They want us to work together. They want us to make common sense improvements so this law works for every American. So at this point, Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of S. 1462, the Marketplace Certainty Act, that the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration, that the bill be considered, read a third time and passed, and the motions to reconsider be considered, made, and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection?
Mr. President.
The senator from Wyoming.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, reserving the right to object. I just had an opportunity to read the legislation from the senator from New Hampshire. It appears the legislation was just filed today. Now, instead of giving the American people time to read the bill, the Senate is being asked to pass the legislation now. At a minimum, shouldn't the American people have at least a day to read the proposal? Now, putting this aside, this bill seeks to address another major failure of Obamacare. That's what they're trying to do here. As a doctor, Mr. President, I want insurance to be affordable for patients all across the country. This bill confirms what we all know. Obamacare is not affordable. The senator is well aware of the large premium increases in her own state. And it's not just the premiums that are skyrocketing. This week I spoke to a woman in Wyoming. She told me that the deductible under her Obamacare plan is so high that her husband really refuses to go visit the doctor. He said it's $6,500 for her, $65 for him, that he will not go to a doctor with that kind of deductible. Now, according to supporters of Obamacare, this person is actually covered under Obamacare, but as a doctor, I say things differently. Health care must be more affordable for everyone. The senator's proposal seeks to throw more money at a systemic problem with Obamacare. Instead, we should be passing bills that actually bring down the cost of care. Mr. President, when the senator mentions the CSRs, I want to point out that absolutely every payment has been made, every one, all the way up to today. So people talk about sabotage of the market. To me, sabotage of the insurance companies and the insurance market in this country has been because of Obamacare, mandating people buy insurance more than they want, more than they need, more than they can afford in so many cases, and insurance that provides very hollow opportunities to actually use the insurance. So again, I appreciate the acknowledgement that Obamacare is clearly not working. However, our focus should be on policies that make health care more affordable to all Americans. Mr. President, I object.
Objection is heard.
Mr. President?
The Democratic
I just want to, could I ask unanimous consent that we get our full amount of time and the time that my friend from Wyoming used be from Republican time somewhat later?
There is no order for divided time.
Oh, so we have as much time as we need.
That is correct. There's no order.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President?
Senator from New Hampshire.
Well, I'm disappointed. I'm not surprised that my colleague from Wyoming objected to our effort to move forward. He's objecting to ending the uncertainty that we've experienced that's forcing insurers to raise rates because of the uncertainty with the way this administration is administering the Affordable Care Act. And they have been very clear that they want marketplaces to implode so that the act doesn't work for people. Senator Barrasso is objecting to a common sense step to stabilize the insurance marketplaces. Now, this is not going to be the last word, because this is a commitment we made to American families. And the instability here in Washington is what's causing instability, not only in insurance markets, but in the country at large. You know, we're approaching the 4th of July next week. And when our founders declared independence on July 4th, 1776, Benjamin Franklin warned that we must all hang together or we will all hang separately. Well, it's no different today. We need to all come together. We need to work across the aisle. We need to improve the health care system so that they work for all Americans. That's our goal. That's why we're here on the floor today. And we need to start by making sure that the insurers have some certainty so they can keep rates low for American families. So we will be back. Have no doubts about that.